A fear of the dark is not an uncommon thing. In fact, it's called nyctophobia, and it's not uncommon for children to have it. If you have an overactive imagination, definitely you'll be afraid of something in the dark because you'll imagine someone's there with you, watching you, knowing very well you can't see them. It's actually a fear I've had for the longest time, as long as I can remember thinking back on it. And I only got over it when I was 16, like dead ass, like that's right. I used to be that kid who would sleep with the nightlight on. In fact, not even a nightlight. I would sleep with the entire bedroom light on like a fucking flashbang to the face. And I never really understood why it was like that, because I grew up exposed to different forms of like horror and violence in the form of games like Call of Duty and Mortal Kombat Deception. I could look into the face of Baraka and go to sleep easily because I knew that shit wasn't real. It was fictional. That is, until I picked up a game that I'm sure that every single PlayStation 2 owner had. Tekken 5. Tekken 5 was my first introduction to the series, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. The game had a 3D feeling to it. I mean, it is a 3D game. It had a 3D feeling to it, which I was very used to because of playing Mortal Kombat games like Mortal Kombat Deception, while Tekken 5 had a very realistic element to it, minus the Kung Fu Panda and Yoshimitsu and Jack 5, and the list can go on. Kung Fu, Kangaroo, I mean, the list could go on, but with its humanoid characters and its diverse martial arts, it really sparked my interest in combat sports even more. Like, there was so much to love about this series, and I fell in love with characters like Raven because, I mean, who the fuck doesn't like a black ninja? Like, the fuck? Raven was one of my favorite characters to use because he was complex to use, but he was so fun to abuse, right? And I also was in love with characters like Martial Law because at that time I was obsessed with Kung Fu movies, watching Bruce Lee. I was obsessed with all of that shit, while also falling in love with characters like Christy Montero because, I mean, man, Christy really made me feel some type of way for a 5-year-old. Sounds weird. Christy really made me feel some type of way for a 5-year-old playing a fighting game. Like, who could say no to a girl who could do capoeira? Capoeira is such an amazing fighting style. I love it with my entire heart and soul. I need to learn that martial arts before I die. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. Everything about that game was perfect until I saw him. Devil fucking Jin. This motherfucker is the bane of my existence just because he existed. He was the reason I developed a fear of the dark and a trust issues and also a dislike for people who have tattoos. This dude was the cause for a lot of issues I had growing up that some have even lost it till this day. Like, throughout my entire childhood until my late teenhood, this dude was just a bane of it all. And what's crazy is he isn't even a scary character. Well, I mean, not anymore at least. But looking back, I realized a lot of my anxiety came from Devil Jin. The fact that the game had a realistic feeling to it made Devil Jin all the more creepy, because unlike games like Mortal Kombat that had this theme where it constantly told you, oh, we're fighting in different realms, this is not real, there's Earth Realm, Nether Realm. I mean, Nether Realm was kind of like hell, but Earth Realm, Nether Realm, Outworld, you know, it had all of that, trying to push the idea into your head that this is fictional, it's not real, right? It had that type of theme. Tekken 5 didn't have that. I mean, not exactly. Tekken 5 had a very real world energy to it, and looking back, like remembering back, I just remember I was 5 at the time, so I didn't care for lore, for stories, and like video games that didn't have a direct story mode told to you. Like, if the story had to be told through arcade modes, I couldn't give no shit. I just saw a challenge and I saw the need to defeat that challenge. I didn't see any type of lore because Mortal Kombat Deception had a story mode that you'd follow. Tekken 5 didn't have that. It just had arcade ladder, follow that, and then it had the side story like the Devil Within, but it had a clear-cut arcade, and that arcade was its story mode. As a child, a 5-year-old, I didn't care for a story mode. I just cared for the fact that I got to whoop ass. And so little me was unaware that this game was that fictional. I thought it was like, at most, I thought it was like based off real events, you know? So it was a fictional story based off real events with like its own added twists, because that's just how realistic the game was to my eyes. And when you grow up in a black family in South Africa where witchcraft and the supernatural or very stressed, seeing a character by the name of Devil Jin just really popped up, and it gave me that unnerving feeling. Like, it gave me the most unnerving feeling imaginable. His laugh was so fucking creepy. I cannot stress how much his laugh gave me so much anxiety, because knowing the tone of Jin Kazama's voice, Jin Kazama had that very deep bass, you know, he had that very combat type of bass to his voice. Like, he had that type of bass to his voice, or like deeper, right? Because he's an adult man and I'm practically a pubescent child stuck in his puberty years. But anyways, he had this very deep voice, and then Devil Jin had this weird ass high-pitched cackle that sounded like a hyena.
Devil Jin wins.
Post-edit, can I just please talk about how ironic it is for a character by the name of Devil Jin to have an intro where he literally says, "Fear the wrath of God." Bitch, are you serious? Bruh. Anyways, back to the video. It put me on edge, especially when playing the game at night, which was what I did most of the time. I only ever played like video games at night when I wasn't playing video games like during the day with my friends. So it always put me on edge losing to Devil Jin, and it's like, Devil Jin wins. And then you just hear that high-pitched cackle of his. It pissed me off. It made me want to strangle him, but I had a fear of him. So it's like, I want you to die, but I can't be the one to do it, you know? So every single time I'd scroll past the character select screen and I'd see this bulky fallen angel hunched over staring at you in your eyes, it just made me feel so... Ooh, it made me feel it made me feel like I wanted to die inside. He was the pure personification of intimidation when I was growing up, and for the most part I could ignore it. That was until I played Hwoarang. Until I played how do you say this guy's name? I'm gonna Google it.
Hwoarang.
But until you played I can't say Korean names, mind the pronunciation, but ever since I played Hwoarang's now you see, now I can't speak. Ever since I played
Oh my
God help me! Ever since I played Hwoarang's arcade ladder, I have not been able to ignore Devil Jin for the life of me. There's just something so unnerving about that ending credit that Hwoarang, fucking hell, ever since him, you know who I'm talking about, the Kiki Kick Taekwondo dude. Yeah, ever since I played his ending ladder, I have never been able to ignore Devil Jin. So basically, here's the context of the ending credit if I can't find the video. So basically, in the arcade ladder, as you're playing through it, right, you end up fighting Jin, because Jin and Hwoarang are close friends. So you defeat him because you guys kind of have a sparring match, and then you beat him up because, I mean, this is your arcade ladder. So you beat Jin, and normally you don't think much of it because, again, he's just your friend, and also he's just another opponent in the arcade ladder. Then, once you get to his ending credit, it shows Hwoarang riding down the highway at night on his bike. Nothing bad. Until farther down the road, you see Devil Jin standing there, and then you see the vehicle lights shining on him, and then he reaches out his hand and he does some kind of force blast, like from Star Wars, and the vehicle just absolutely explodes. You're just wondering, like, what the fuck? Then Devil Jin walks through the flames of the exploded vehicle, and he picks up Hwoarang, and then you just hear him doing this weird and it sounds so fucking weird now that I'm looking back on it, but that's what he does, and that put the nail in the coffin as to why I'm so afraid of Devil Jin. Like, not only was Devil Jin responsible for my nyctophilia, I already have a fear of being in cars and vehicles. So now imagine taking the dark and taking a car, driving, and then seeing Devil Jin. That just put the nail in the coffin as to why I'm so afraid of this motherfucking character. And one of the things that bothered me the most about that whole ending cutscene for Hwoarang's arcade ladder is the whole point that your friend gets angry at your success and then comes back as a demon to kill you. That just gives me major trust issues. How are you supposed to feel? This is your friend, you grew up with him, and you guys are doing a spar, a friendly match, a friendly fight. You beat him and he comes back as a fucking transformed demon just to beat you back. I'm like, they kind of like solidified this thought in my head that whenever you have a close friend and you become successful, never show your success in front of your friends, because you don't know what demon is hiding behind that face of theirs. They might come back and kill you. They might come back and assassinate you. So that shit gave me major trust issues. I mean, not as a child, but it gave me major trust issues growing up, realizing, whoa, this might be the context of the whole. I mean, that actually might not be the context, but in my head, that's what I thought was the context of the whole end credit. So it made me afraid to be on the road at night, and most importantly, it made me hate people who have tattoos, which is a trait that I have carried on till this very day, which I'll explain later on in the video. But just saying now, I cannot stand people who have tattoos. Whenever I would boot up my PlayStation 2, coming back home from school, excited like a usual kid does, comes back, gets some friends, he boots up the PS2 and then plays Tekken 5. The theme would play and I would always sing along in glee, because it's just like, how can you not feel that vibe of, I'm here now, I'm doing the best I can. Like, the song absolutely slapped. It slaps to this day. Just vibing to such an amazing game. Then it reached that devil part of the whole opening. And I would either skip it immediately or just cover my eyes like a game of peekaboo, because I did not want to see such a demon. In fact, Devil Jin scared me so much that not only could I never play as him, I could never play against him. So I could never like finish that side story, the Devil Within. You know that Devil Within story, side story in Tekken 5? Till this day, I have not completed it. And not only that, I could not beat him in any fight ever, because he gave me anxiety and fear so much. So I couldn't actually properly play against him. And whenever it said, get ready for the next battle, and then it showed Devil Jin, I saw that motherfucker hunched over on the side of my screen, and I either gave the controller to a friend to beat him, or I just never played it at all. Like, I could not play it all together, because whenever I would lose, I'd hear that god-awful cackle whenever I lose, and I'd hear it over and over and fucking over. I hated Devil Jin. I couldn't handle it at all, which is fun, because Jinpachi never actually scared me despite having a giant mouth on his stomach. He just irritated me because he was such a cheap character. You'd steal your health, you teleport, he'll teleport you to him, he'd shoot that giant. Bro, Jinpachi, I swear everybody hated Jinpachi with a passion, and that I could feel that same sentiment. But Devil Jin was an absolutely different story, and ever since I witnessed him, ever since I first witnessed that motherfucker, I've had a fear of the dark. I had a fear of abandoned spaces because of that whole time where he was like tied up in the temple, he flew away. So it was just an abandoned space where some random dude is chained up and then he turns into a demon. Fuck no, I am not doing that. I'm already black. As a black person, we don't go into like places that you're not supposed to go, like abandoned spaces, haunted houses. We don't do that shit. Now imagine doing that, knowing that there's a possibility that Devil Jin might be there. I didn't do that. The dude also gave me a fear of black feathers, which is the weirdest one. I just couldn't stand around, like I couldn't feel comfortable around black feathers, because it always gave me that fear that he was either nearby or he was watching me in the dark with those glowing eyes and that red gem on his forehead. It took me many years, almost 12 years in fact, to totally get over my fear of him. And yet every single time, till this day, every single time I look at him, I get this weird feeling of discomfort, because I remember how much anxiety and fear he would give me growing up. Like every single time I would watch a horror movie, I didn't think, what if the demon in the movie attacked me? I always thought, what if Devil Jin attacked me? And like, it's crazy how one character could have this much impact on a child growing up. And it kept me awake at night unless I slept with somebody at night, or unless I had like the whole bedroom light on. Now, as far as my distaste for people with tattoos goes, this is how I explain it, or this is how I justified it in my head. Whenever I saw Jin Kazama, right, with his birthmark, the Devil Jin tattoo on his arm, I thought that shit was cool. In fact, I even wanted one when I got older. But after Hwoarang's credit scene, in the back of my head, my brain always associates people with tattoos to demons and devils, since Devil Jin was bathed in tattoos, which probably originated from that Devil Jin tattoo on his arm. So now, like, sure, there are exceptions to my views towards tattoos. Like, for example, if you have a tattoo that has a significant meaning to it, or if it's a cultural tattoo, like Samoan tattoos, then sure, I can't care less. In fact, I really enjoy looking at those type of tattoos if they have a meaning behind it. But if it's like you have a big tattoo, or it's you just got it because it looks cool, my brain gets so anxious. Like, it literally makes my skin itch looking at people who have a lot of tattoos. And in the back of my head, I always assume that that person person with tattoos probably has a devil form just waiting to be unleashed somehow. So as I get older, I realize that's definitely not the case. I think that's definitely not the case anymore, and I've managed to separate fiction from reality, and quote-unquote scars from my past carry on even till today. And the emotions that Devil Jin has given me happen to be like the fear of tattoos just happens to be one of them. I mean, it's not a fear of tattoos, more just like a distaste and an uncomfort around people who have tattoos. I personally wouldn't be caught dead with a tattoo. The closest thing I'd get would be like a temporary tattoo or a henna. But literally growing up, the way I hated tattoos so much because of Devil Jin, I would disassociate myself from anyone who had a tattoo. And I only now am able to tolerate some people who have tattoos. Again, it depends on how many you have, the meaning behind those tattoos. So yeah, that's just me. Like, I know tattoos are a huge turn off in my sex life. I speak in English. I cannot be aroused by somebody who has a lot of tattoos, especially if they don't fit the exceptions that are in my brain, which I've now gotten used to. But till this day, Devil Jin, by default, Tekken 5 is the first time I ever truly experienced fear. And the reason why I consider it fear is because it lasted so long, till like age 16 onward, and there's still some effects that have led to my current life. That's how I see it. Now, if you made it far in this video, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I want you to know how much I appreciate it. I thank you so much for the support throughout everything. It felt weird dumping all of this childhood trauma onto you, but I enjoyed it regardless. It felt fun ranting about a specific character and why I hate that character. I wish I could talk to my younger self and tell him that everything will be okay, but I'm sure he wouldn't have listened anyways. Now, if you want to keep supporting this channel, be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you're updated whenever I post. Till then, see you next time. Be ever wonderful. This has been Biscord signing out. Bye.